And we're live on another edition of the William Green Experience right here on YouTube. And if you miss any part of tonight's show, go to www.spreaker.com/the William Green Experience. Yes, I got it right the first time. I've been butchering it like the first few times I've been doing this show. I've been butchering my intro and my links and stuff. But it happens. It happens. It happens. Like the guy that you see on the screen, he knows about a lot. He knows a lot about media, radio, television, and all that stuff. Right now, he currently covers the Florida Gators. He works at WCJB 20 TV 20 ABC in Gainesville. Please welcome my good friend Chris Pinson to the show, to the William Green Experience. What up, bro?
Hey, what's good, Will?
I'm chilling. How's Florida? How's Florida treating you?
Brother, it's that time of the year where all it does is rain every day and then get super hot and then just wash, rinse, and repeat. So trust me, it's an experience in itself that you've known once before. But yeah, bro, it's that time of year where when I go out to high school practices for football or volleyball or whatever, man, you better take the rain gear with you. You better have a change of clothes and you better bring some rain galoshes because, man, those fields get muddy. And it gets crazy, bro. But, it's the best time of year because high school is back in session. We got sports on the calendar. Obviously, college football's kicking off. The SEC is about to kick off their season in a couple weeks. So right now, it's never been a better time for sports to make a triumphant reentry into 2020.
Yeah, how's sports in 2020? Everything's been locked down. So it's as far as like working in media, how has it been?
It has been a journey, put it that way, right? So as you know, last fall, I was in Tampa covering the Buccaneers, and that was a great gig, but I've always wanted to be in television. So in February, I took this job here in Gainesville at WCJB, and I was a photographer, no on-air stuff, just go out, shoot video, whatever. And it was great, Will. Like I was covering Florida Gator basketball and baseball and softball, and baseball and softball were kicking butt, and they were rolling through opponents. Basketball, covered the Kentucky game and was literally 10 feet away from John Calipari. Yeah. And then March hit and Corona came and shut everything down.
Oh, God.
So since then, it's been a journey of new roles, new responsibilities, but it's made me a much better journalist and station worker there in my company. And now that we're actually doing stuff again, it's like our small little bit of return to normalcy because we finally have things that I'm passionate about, which is, going and covering a high school football game, or I've covered 3 volleyball games in like the last couple of days. And it's great because people are still socially distancing. They're still abiding by the rules and protocols. But you see these kids out there and you're like, man, I couldn't imagine if I was a senior, what it would be like to not have a season where it would be the last time I may ever strap on the pads or do anything academically and athletically.
Right. Because I know that must be a challenge. That must be a challenge, even trying to speak to these people and interview them.
Oh my gosh!
What was the process doing that?
It's right. Obviously, a lot of high school kids aren't the most eloquent speakers, but when you talk to them and they get comfortable, man, their emotions they just pour out of them. Because for a lot of these high school football players, and especially down here, where you and I talked off camera, but we talked a lot about how, especially in the South, right. Football is life. Faith, family, and football, those 3 F's, they go together and they overlap and intersect. Right. And for all these little small town communities here in North Central Florida, without high school sports, man, there's nothing really to unite them except being in this area. And so I'm telling you, as kind of scary as it's been, honestly, going out to these high school football games and seeing the stands pretty well packed, this is what these people live for. This is a lot of the highlights of their life. And so for a lot of them, man, the big grins they get on their face, the emotions that just come out of them, they live for this. And so for all these kids and the coaches and stuff, man, if they didn't have high school football, brother, I'm telling you, it would be a very long summer into the fall without any kind of real treasure to look forward to.
Yeah, and a lot of those small towns, I noticed that football, like on any level, whether it be Pop Warner in high school, football is life. Even in the Philadelphia area, I noticed that. I was in the suburb of the Philadelphia area. It was in Chester, I believe. And all I see was like a lot of different Pop Warner teams. A lot of Pop Warner teams. So I was like, oh, there's a football town. You see, I wish New York City was the same way. but it's not. This is why I Florida sometimes, because maybe I would have been into college football. Because I know
maybe, right? And we talked about that, how you're not a big college football. Like right now, here's the deal. So I know a lot of my friends, even down here, they're not big college football fans. Like most of them are. But then there's my buddies that are literally just football fans on Sunday, because to them, right, having those 30 teams in the NFL is great because that's the best of the best. You know, the fact that college football Division I alone has over 130 teams, they don't like that because they think while it's great kids get a chance to play, you know, there's obviously a big drop off from the top tier down to the bottom one. And so to them, college football, they don't care about the pageantry or tradition or stuff like that. They just care that if you're not the best, I don't want to watch some sloppy football game.
Right. Right. But before we cover your media journey, where did it all begin for you?
Honestly, man, fourth grade, right? Fourth grade, it was the spring semester. So, right, we're getting close to getting out for summer. And I remember my librarian teacher, she was like, "Hey, Chris, you know, you like to talk in front of the class. You don't mind speaking. You know, do you think you'd want to try out for the student newscast?" And I'm like, "Okay, whatever." So she sat me down and she had me read a teleprompter, like a little mini teleprompter. And I did it. And she's like, "Wow, you know, you show a pretty good knack for this." And so I fell in love with it pretty quickly. And then it wasn't maybe more than a couple of days. I'm sitting there watching a Yankees game with my dad. And of course, you know, probably Sunday Night Baseball, I think maybe. And I'm watching the announcers, right? Like John Miller and all these guys. And I'm thinking, wait a minute, there's no teleprompter, but they're doing what I did during school. I'm like, "Hey, Dad." And we start talking. And I'm like, time out. And Charles Barkley said this best. Charles Barkley said, "The people that pay him money to sit there on the desk with Ernie Johnson and Kenny Smith and Shaq," he goes, "these guys are idiots. They're going to pay me a lot of money to talk about something I would sit on my couch and talk to you about."
Yeah.
And basically, man, that's what I thought. As I've told people, from that moment on, I realized I'm never going to be a pro athlete, which I was dying to be as a kid. But I'm like, hang on, I can still be at the game. I can have the best seat in the house. And oh yeah, you're going to pay me a lot of money to talk about the game? Why would I think of doing anything else in my life?
Okay. What sport though? You said you wanted to be one pro.
All right. So dream scenario. Dream scenario is being the next Jim Nantz, where I get college basketball and golf in the spring and golf going all year long. And then of course I get football in the fall. That to me, man, would be the best schedule because I'm addicted to golf. I love playing it. I love watching it. And again, right, doing March Madness would be killer. And of course, being, you know, at every marquee game in the NFL, how can I pass that up?
Yeah, that is a dream job. Hey, you said you mentioned like golf was a favorite sport?
Yeah, man, golf for sure. Okay. I love playing golf.
Did you want to be a pro golfer at one point?
Honestly, man, when I was growing up, if I could be a pro athlete, I probably for a long time I want to be a pro baseball player because I was very good at baseball. But again, being a very undersized guy, and even now being just like 5'8", you know, I don't have the build for it. Right. But something changed when I was about 8 years old. I got hit in the back by one of my best friends from like down the street during a real baseball game, and he drills me. And after that, man, I became terrified of taking at bats because I'm like, hang on, I practiced throwing with my dad, and I know I don't hit the mitt every time. And so as we got older and they started getting stronger and, you know, being a little wilder as well, I could never stand at the plate and have the fearlessness I once did. Any other sport, you know, I'm not afraid of that. But baseball, man, I know how hard and how painful it is to get hit. And I couldn't shake that fear. So after a while, I was like, all right, you boys, you guys are growing into men. Enjoy baseball. I don't want to play anymore.
Same. I got hit with a hard ball right in the ribs one time. Oh my god!
Oh my god!
It was by accident, but still.
The pain, bro. Like, and you don't forget the pain either. You remember it like it was yesterday.
I felt pain talking about it because it was like that's why I felt the pain at just now. Just saying that. I also got hit with a bat one time by accident because he didn't see me behind him.
Oh no!
and he hit me in the forehead. He didn't hit me all that hard, but he hit me hard enough. It was the wooden baseball bat too.
Oh, bro, lucky you didn't get a splinter right in the middle of your forehead.
Yes. Like it's crazy. Like getting hit with a hard ball. That's why I'd be like, what? Like these pitchers, like why they be trying to throw at people? Like they should eliminate that. Like you trying to kill people because
listen, you just hit the nail on the head, Will, right? So obviously you've seen baseball right now is in a unique place where you've got like Fernando Tatis Jr. and a lot of players chirping at pitchers that we never had before. And I'm all about it because and obviously you know me because I used to have my own radio show and I sat on there with my old partner. My old partner was very old school. He's like, yeah, put your pitchers police the game. That's the unwritten rules. I said, listen, you ever throw a baseball at me on purpose and you try to hit me from like shoulders up, I promise you, I'm charging them out and I'm bringing that bat with me.
Yeah.
Because if you just wasted your grenade, guess what? I got one for you and I'm not letting go of this thing. That's that's little assault. You should go to jail for that.
It is. It like in fact, if me and you was to be on the playground or on the street somewhere, and I threw at you because of something that you did the last game, that's motive. That's motive right there for them to throw me in jail.
Bingo.
That's motive.
Yeah.
Because,
literally.
Like, I don't know. I don't get it. I don't get why I don't know why that's an unwritten rule, and I don't know why old school people are okay with that. Like, why do you think?
Because it's tradition, right? Right. People hate change. And I'll tell you this, Will. One thing that bothers me a lot is that because so many managers, right, they're older players and former players and whatever, and they have intentions, and I understand that. But as Dan Lebatard once wisely pointed out, he's like, every other country that plays baseball celebrates the greatness of it, right? In the island nations, Dominican Republic, the Caribbean, Korea, Japan. Where there's a home run hit, it's not just fireworks, dude. Like the stands are going crazy, the teams are going nuts. It's like they have touchdown celebrations at the plate. But in America, if you show up the pitcher, it's a death sentence at the guillotine. And I'm thinking, again, as baseball struggles to grow and get people interested our age and younger that actually watched the game before, why would you not want to make the game more enticing and say, hey, you know what? Let's celebrate this as opposed to, all right, Jimmy, run the bases, come back to the dugout and keep your head down.
Exactly.
It's not 1920, bro. It's 2020.
Exactly. And it's like, I believe that if they want to keep fans or like make the base younger, I feel like they should make some changes. I really feel like they should do away with 162 games.
Thank you. Okay, all right. Let's play the game, Will. You're Commissioner William Green. How many games are you cutting the schedule down to?
That's a good question because I never thought about that. I'll say about 62. No, 60 games like they're doing now.
60 games, like right now.
Yeah, like right now, because or a little bit more. If 60 is too low, 90, 100.
90, okay, right. Me, I'm a fan of 100 games. Right, here's my ideal. Right, obviously we know baseball every single year the season seems to start earlier and earlier. And as you know, being a northerner, it's still cold as crap in March and April. So, right, I mean, right, even into May in some places. So why not have the season start May 1st? Go from May 1st to September 1st and get in close to 100 games or whatever it could be. The season starts May 1st, ends September 1st. And from there, we're playing the playoffs. That way, by the time we get to the World Series, we're in early October. No more of this November. Bro, I don't want to watch baseball in November. Like nobody in New York in the 90s or in like the early 2000s were happy about going to Yankee games, sitting there freezing as one pitch by one pitch came by, right?
I'm going to tell you I'm going to tell you about falls in New York City for anybody who's listening that hasn't been to NY before. It's cold. Last ticket tape parade that we had, 09. I went,
bro.
Me and my boy went, and it was brick. So
gotta break out them FUBU jackets, baby.
Yes,
in the Timbs.
Exactly. Timbs, like you got the snorkel one.
Oh, bro, nah. No, not me. Listen, as a born and raised Florida guy, who of course hopes one day I can move to New York or Chicago or some major city and have a great career.
Yeah.
I will only do that if I have to go for a job. I enjoy socks. No, I enjoy sandals and khakis year round. I do not do cold well, bro. My body is not built for cold. No, sir.
And I don't even like the winters here anymore neither. And I'm a winter baby. I can't stand it.
Brutal.
I can't. And I was born right at the winter. I was born in December.
Wow.
Like, I hate the winter. I despise it. I'm like, if I can go to Florida, Arizona to live for the rest of my life, I would.
This man, I thought you were going to say the snowbird effect. I was going to say this man snowbirding it up. Arizona or Florida?
Yep. I'm going right over there. Like, nope. I can't do it. I'm tired of it. Like,
you know what cracks me up, right, is that, right, people in the South who've never traveled north, they don't understand that New York, Chicago, Boston, Connecticut, it still gets very hot. Like, you guys have, like, hot summers for real. Maybe not the humidity, but it does get 90 plus hot.
I'm gonna tell you something. The first time I experienced Florida, brother, you know how life hits you fast. so did that Florida heat. It hit me fast.
That humidity, bro. It ain't no joke.
In fact, I remember when you predicted the I don't know who it was, the Patriots or somebody to beat the Dolphins. What I didn't realize was you said they was going. You said they was going to get the Dolphins going to get beat, right?
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, I forgot. Like, I know you. That's when you was doing the Chris Pinson show on ESPN,
right?
So, a week later, well, not a week later, I think the same day, somebody had. I think it was a player that Colin had on his show.
Okay.
He mentioned the Florida Heat in September. He used that as a factor as to why they was going to win that game. Because a lot of teams go there in like, September and October, mostly September.
Brutal, bro.
You go there and get beat. So I'm surprised you didn't factor that part in, because I didn't myself. I was like, oh yeah, that heat is different. Like, I dealt with the heat in June. Last stepped off that plane, it was 10:30 in the morning. It was already humid. You see in New York City, it don't start to get hot and humid like that until like noon or 1 p.m.
Right.
It was like that 10:30 in the morning. And I was
all right, now.
Yeah.
All right, so your story is a lot like mine, right? So obviously being in Florida all my life, right? Again, I don't mind humidity. It sucks, but obviously I've gotten used to it. I remember when I was 12 years old, my mom and I went to Arizona, and we went to Phoenix for like a week. So we're there in the hotel. Will, I'm not kidding you, bro. This is my first experience to a dry heat. And when I tell you, Will, I was knocked over. I woke up in the hotel at 6:30 in the morning. I'll never forget this. 6:30 in the morning, I wake up, use the bathroom, and like we're getting ready to go out there or whatever. Yeah. And I look at the thermometer on the window, bro, on the hotel window, and I look at my mom and say, Mom, why is the temperature so hot? She goes, what do you mean? I said, Mom, it's 6:30 in the morning. It says 93 degrees. And she goes, son, she goes, that's Phoenix. She goes, now you know why it's so hot.
Like, how is that heat though? Like, is Florida heat hot or is it Arizona heat hot?
Will, legitimately, out there in the West, in the desert area, literally turn on your oven and stick your head in it. That is dry heat. It is oppressive. You can't breathe. Like, right in Florida, it's like, damn, it's hot. I walked out of my house or my car and I'm already melting. Out there, bro, open your oven, bro, and try to breathe. That is literally a dry heat.
Wow. Because I've never, my bad. I have gone to Arizona, just not in the summertime. Oof. Last time I was there was November 2017.
Perfect weather.
Yeah, I went there and it felt like spring over there.
Right.
So if I have winters like that, I'm fine. But the summers has to be brutal as hell. But the weird thing about it is I want to experience that just to see it for myself.
Oh, like I said, just open your oven, man.
Yes. Okay, if I could take that, then I'll move over there. But I still want to experience walking in it.
Oh, it's something else, man. It is. Yeah. Now I would tell you. So in February, getting to go to California for the first time ever, right? Got to go to San Diego and LA and stuff for a week. Bro, if you get the guap and you have it, move to San Diego, bro. Move to San Diego. It is literally, Will, every day it's either 70 degrees or 80 degrees. It never gets to 85. And it legitimately feels like a spring day every day.
That's
crystal
good.
clear skies, nice warm sunshine, not hot at all, bro. And you hang out. I mean, everything's outdoors. It's beautiful. San Diego is the best.
I'm about to consider moving there. I'm gonna check it out.
Get your bread, trust me, get your bread up. But literally, if you can make it there, bro, besides the fires and the bankrupt state, wonderful real estate.
Yes. As long as it's not too expensive to live over there, but who knows not going to be that many in like 5 years anyway. So I'll consider it. I'll definitely. In fact, I think somebody I know actually planned on moving there. I forgot who it was. But you're the second person to tell me that, so I'm gonna check it out.
Check it out, bro. San Diego, man. Like I said, if I could move anywhere right now, I would move there for real.
Mm-hmm. But
all right. Let me ask you this, Will. Right, so I got a cousin. Right, he's a Wall Street guy.
Okay.
He says that he and a lot of the other elite people of New York, man. He said that he's moving to Florida this month, and he said that U-Haul, Penske, any other moving truck companies up there, bro. There's like a month to 2 month wait list because people are moving out of New York City like crazy. Like, what's up with the city? I mean, is it really the taxes? Is it the COVID? Like, what's going on with the city?
The city itself is just overpriced. It's really expensive to live here. Really expensive. It's expensive to the point that they raised the minimum wage up here to $15 an hour.
Right.
But the cost of living still doesn't offset that because, you know what? This is something I said back when they was going to do it anyway. I said this 5 years ago. People were really getting excited and giddy. Hey, we're going to get paid $15 an hour. Watch the jobs that you work at. Most of those jobs is retail and restaurant workers and stuff. Look, what they're going to do is they're going to not give you the hours to offset what you're making.
Bingo.
It's going to be the same shit. You're still going to be making the same money that you was making, like making $11 an hour. Maybe it'll be a little bit more easy if you don't have big responsibilities. But if you do, it's still going to be the same shit. That's why people are leaving.
Damn.
Because they're like the job market out here blows for the most part.
Wow.
It's like you have to have a career to live here. Like if you're not working in television, working in radio, working on Wall Street, or working at any of these Fortune 500 companies, or you're not a city worker. In fact, not even them. A lot of the city workers, what they do is they'll apply for whatever test they apply for, like, police, corrections, or transit. After they get the job, you could pretty much move wherever you want within the tri-state area. You just yes, you just have to live in the 5 boroughs when you want to apply for the exam or whatever job you're trying to get. Once you get the position, you can move to Jersey. A lot of people, like some people I know, is living in Jersey. They commute to New York just to, drive the train. Or if you're a transit supervisor, you just go back and forth.
All right. Okay. So, but do they get taxed? But do they get taxed because they're commuting?
I think so. Nobody specifically, but I think they do. I think they're overtaxed too. You know what? Come to think of it, yes, they do get overtaxed because I know a lot of people that has complained about the taxes getting taken out their checks.
God, bro, like,
yes.
Right. So my old sales manager when I was in Sebring, he also worked for WABC like back in the 70s, and and we were talking one time, and I guess at some point in the 70s, that's when they first decided to have a trial tax of taxing everybody that commuted from Connecticut and other states into New York. And and from that point, from the 70s. And from that point on, that commuter tax has always been in effect.
I had no idea.
Yeah, bro. And he's like, oh yeah, experimental. And put this way, my sister, right? Again, we're born and raised in Florida. She took a job in Rhode Island out of law school up there.
Okay.
And she called my mom when she got her first check. She called my mom and she goes, Mom, this state is robbing me blind. And my mom goes, what are you talking about? She goes, look what they took out in taxes.
Yeah.
And my mom laughed and she goes, honey, welcome to the Northeast. That's how they pay for everything. But also they're going bankrupt really fast. And I was like,
yeah.
Well, I was like, man, like at least like half of your check is taxes, and you still have mounting deficits as a city, county, and state. It's like, what else do you expect? Like where else can you go to find more money? It's not there.
No. Like I said, you have to either be doing that or working in radio or something, or TV, or working in
Wall Street,
any of these companies, any of these big companies. God. If you just work at the library or something like that, or even teachers, come to Connecticut. In fact, one of my teachers at my high school commuted from Jersey to the Bronx to teach.
No.
Yes.
Bro.
They do it.
Oh my God.
It's expensive to live here.
No way.
They don't want to get their taxes taken out too, like that. Because probably Jersey, right? Depends on what part of Jersey you live in. Because I guess it will depend on how much they tax you. Because Jersey is a spread out. Like, you got, put it this way. Jersey has two parts. You got the side that's just like New York, or people believe to be like New York, which is New York and Jersey City, and probably Elizabeth or any of these other small townships between. And you got the other side where Trenton is at, which is in the Atlantic City, which is
Jersey Shore,
right in the Philadelphia area, because they get Philadelphia media. Yeah, they don't, Jersey doesn't have a TV station at all. They don't have a TV station. It's whatever is on this side and whatever's on the other side. That's what they're gonna get.
That's weird.
Yeah, Jersey has always been like that. But as far as you in media, what was your first job in media on your path?
First job, I would say, what
was it like? And what was it like? What was the first job and what was it like? It's basically a two-part question. Exactly.
All right. So I graduated UCF in 2012, in December 2012, came out, first couple months, I was applying for jobs, whatever, couldn't find anything. Okay. And so then so down in Sebring, we have a giant, and Sebring is very small, but it's known throughout the world, because in Sebring, Florida, we have what's called the 12 Hours of Sebring. It's the oldest endurance race in America. And, if you legit go to France or Europe or whatever else, right, they do endurance racing, Sebring is very famous. So I'm sitting there at this race with my buddies, kind of wondering, am I going to get a job call or whatever? Sure enough, my phone rings, and it is the technical president of Golf Channel. And he calls me and says, hey, man, you're a sports guy. He's like, we need somebody to come cut highlights for us. And I was like, when can I start? So for 6 months, from March of that year through August, I was at Golf Channel. I'm working where I want to be, but I'm working in a very small behind-the-scenes role. Okay. And I mean, I liked it because what I did was I was cutting highlights for the LPGA tournaments that feature Japanese players. Because unbeknownst to me, in America, we have Golf Channel. Yeah. But in Japan, there's a sister company called Golf Network. And so any tournament that featured a Japanese female, we covered it. So I'm sitting there, for 6 months, I'm doing it, whatever, and it's fine. Well, then next thing I know, it's June and my student loans start calling. And so, and this job was also part-time. So I was like, well, I haven't gotten a job offer to be on air yet, and I keep applying, and I'm not getting anywhere up the ladder here. So I dropped out and I went to sales. And so from there, I started a career for sales. I went back to UCF. I upgraded my history minor into a history major. And from there, I was a teacher for a couple of years. So from 2013 to 2016, I didn't really do a whole lot of media stuff. And I'm thinking, well, clearly it's been 3 years, haven't been on camera anywhere. And I guess, it just wasn't for me, whatever. And so that's when I finally, at one point, I got fed up teaching here in Ocala. And, I have my dad to thank actually for my path for the Sebring job and this job, because he knew people and said, hey, just do me a favor, talk to my son, interview him. If you don't think he has it, let me know, and he'll move on to something else. But
Right.
obviously, they figured I got some talent, and I put the hard work in, and so I went from working in Sebring for 2 years to Tampa to now here. But again, I think back, Will, and I think to myself, how far behind the 8 ball I am at 31, even though people say I don't look like it. In 8 years, right? I'm just now in television. In 8 years, I'll be almost 40. In 8 years, somebody who's just out of college with a college degree will be 30 in 8 years experience.
Right.
But, clearly, right? But again, everything is built upon what you do today and tomorrow. And so, to me, even though I'm behind the 8 ball, I just think if I work as hard as I can every single day to put in the effort to do the right things, I know that I can go places others can't, because at some point that work ethic and that determination, it will take you over the top no matter where you go.
You're right. And like, let me ask you this before we get to like you going to ESPN.
Yeah.
Out in where was that? Highlands? Highlands
Yeah,
ESPN?
right. So yeah, Highlands ESPN, yeah.
Okay. I just want to ask you this, because what I noticed about you, because I really think that you're a very underrated radio guy.
I appreciate that very much.
Like really. What made me notice that is like you're one like Snapchat. When you be driving, have you ever tried to audition or go to any of these radio stations that do music? Have you ever thought about doing that?
Okay,
because
right. So
for it.
I appreciate that. All right. So
obviously, smoke. That's how I feel. Really?
No, again, no. Trust. Listen, again, man.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how much that means, because I'm telling you, Will, knowing as a young kid I wasn't going to be a pro athlete, man, I've always wanted to do this, right? And obviously, to be on air somewhere, right, you have to have a certain look and sound, all right? And we're all people, right? And we all have different visions and different thoughts of other people. And when I hear certain guys, I'm thinking, man, that guy's got a great voice. That person's built for it. Because I hear my own voice and I'm thinking, well, maybe in 10 years it'll be deeper and have more, more resonance and timbre and whatever. But compliments like that, I always appreciate those. Right. So working in Sebring at the radio station, right, I didn't just host a 2-hour radio show. I was also the midday country music guy. So I've got plenty of experience doing that. Yeah. So I know country music and whatever. And when I do my Snapchat stuff, I do that because I want to stay sharp. And so doing my little intros and hitting the post and all that stuff. So in Sebring, between applying for sports jobs at different places, I was also actively applying for places, to be a DJ, to do music stuff. Okay. But again, it's funny because I applied to a lot of places, and like a lot of sports jobs I've applied for, I never heard back. I either got a thing from LinkedIn or whatever saying, "Hey, thanks for applying, but you don't have the experience," or whatever the crap was. So but again, I've always loved it. And growing up as a kid, growing up, you and I are pretty much the same age. And growing up as a kid, I still do remember listening to Casey Kasem on the Top 40 Countdown. So and I love doing that stuff because I emulate him, because he was a guy that obviously inspired countless radio show hosts.
Yeah. You, like I said, you sound like you can work at any radio station, talk about anything, because it's like you have the radio voice.
I appreciate that.
And so I was like, somebody hasn't signed this person yet. You see, doing that though, that's how people get discovered. Somebody is gonna listen. They're gonna be like, he does this. Plenty of people has been discovered just like that.
It's true, more so now than ever. And that's why sometimes I kind of kick myself for not doing things like you're doing, right? Because I get a couple of days off, and I should start doing this because, right, you look at TikTok, man. Quarantine was the best thing for TikTok ever because everybody downloaded it, and right now there are so many teenagers and stuff and kids, making literally millions of dollars because they have funny videos or whatever. And it took a pandemic, but hey, it's working for them.
Yes. Yeah, just like you got these YouTubers that be screaming obscenities like Wolf Vicky and stuff like that. Oh God, we ain't gonna get into that. They bugging,
mad bugging. Oh. All right, let me ask you this, Will. Right, so all right, obviously you and I are two guys that are trying to do this gig right in different fashions, right, with different visions, right? So, right, obviously I've expressed my vision, right? I want to be the next Jim Nance, Bob Costas, Dick
Okay.
Enberg, like any of those guys that have the best seat in the house of the biggest games. What's your vision for this whole thing? Like, why is the William Green experience something you put a lot of effort into and you want to grow?
Oh, that's a good question. I was always a person that always gave his opinions on a lot of stuff, like whether it be music, politics. Mind you, I don't really know everything about politics, and
no one does, bro. No one does.
Really don't. And I'll be the first one to say that. What I do though is is try to find a hole in somebody's argument, and figure out why that doesn't make sense. Especially in sports media, where you got a bunch of people saying different things. Like, okay, before me and you talked on the air, before we got on the air, we talked about the way everybody's reacting to the Kawhi Leonard situation.
Right.
And the reason why people say it's a double standard because people are not having the same energy they have with they're not dogging Kawhi Leonard like they do LeBron James.
Correct.
Reason for that is nobody's ever said anything like the chosen one when it came to Kawhi Leonard. You never heard anybody say anything about it. Nobody's ever said anything like that about him. If anything, people called him overrated.
Right, which is dumb because he's won 2 championships and 2 finals MVPs with 2 different teams.
Yeah. People call him overrated really is because he doesn't shoot. He's not known for shooting, he's known for his defense.
Right, but you know that he can drop 25 to 30 if he needs to.
Yes. He just chooses to do the dirty work, which is fine, like Jimmy Buckets.
It's like Jimmy Buckets, bro. My new favorite player.
Mm-hmm. So I just look for arguments like that or stories because I want to talk about everything on the show, and I want to get like different people on here that's open minded and free. What's the word I'm looking for? Free thinking.
Yeah,
I want free thinking people on the show. I don't want nobody that's gonna lean to one side. Like I noticed, like LeBron James fans and even some Kawhi fans or like AEW and WWE fans. They're one-sided people, so I wouldn't want them to come on here and just try to convince you, oh, you shouldn't be saying anything about WWE. Why not? Because they make the most money out of all of the wrestling organizations, so they're above criticism.
Right. Are they immune to the process of public thought?
Exactly. So if I want to criticize them, I will. It's not going to be. I'm going to have basis of why I feel this way. I'm just not going to come up here and be like, oh, well, they did this and don't have any merit to why I'm saying this. No, it's not like that.
All right. Hey, let me ask you this, Will, because obviously you and I are active people on social media, right? We talk. You're a lot more active on Instagram than I am. Yeah. Right. I browse Instagram. I browse Facebook a lot. I don't really post a lot. I used to hate Twitter. Now I like Twitter a lot because obviously as a person in news/sports, that's where you get all the breaking information. Right. My question to you is, why do you think so many celebrities, well-to-do actors, or of course, big sports people, whatever, why do you think they invest so much time into the comment section of their Twitter files and Instagram files?
You know what? I actually thought about that today, and I have no idea. I have no idea. Because if I had that many followers, I wouldn't be in my comment section because there'll be too much to sort through.
Bingo. Like, you literally don't have time to spend on all the comments. And yet, instead of being like, hey, look, I got 100,000 comments on this picture or whatever, what do? They're like, oh, I want to see, right? Curiosity opens that Pandora's box and they want to see it. And to me, it makes no sense because people are people and they've got their own opinions like you and I. And so you're probably going to get a lot of good and a lot of bad. And of course, that negative sticks out so badly. It's, oh, I'm Kylie Jenner or I'm this person. I need to delete it. Just don't look at it. Just be like, hey, I got 30 million followers. I don't care what average Joe. I don't care what you say. I'm getting paid.
Exactly. Like that's all they have to do is just ignore it. It's like the fact that people like Cardi B are in their comment sections already again bent out of shape because
bro.
of somebody that she doesn't know or never met before saying about her, even though most of it is warranted, but you don't have to respond back to it.
Exactly. You
Why
don't know
you
this person. They don't know you. They're just judging you from the outside of window shopping. They don't
Yeah.
know what size the hat is.
exactly. Like that's why half the time I don't even like when I'm on Twitter, I don't tag people and I don't mention them in my posts. I'll just talk about them. So even though people might say, "Oh, you're being a coward," well, I'm not being a coward. The reason I'm not being a coward is because if I do tag them, they're gonna think that I'm trolling them. Even
Bingo.
though I'm not. Like for example, Damian Woody. A few years ago, he was on on the Stephen A. Smith and Ryan Rucco show,
Mm,
and he was covering for Stephen A. I believe. And know how they play songs in on the radio.
right.
They played a Drake song from commercial,
Okay.
and then he said to Ryan or somebody that you don't know nothing about this and whatever. I'm like, the hell are you talking about? You like I'm young. I'm young, and I don't think this song is. I don't think this song is garbage. That's all I said. Then you gonna come and reply back to me and say, "Well, I like what I like, bro." Something like that. I'm paraphrasing because it's been years since I've.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm like, I didn't say you couldn't like it. I just said that I'm that age and I don't like it. Because he did reference people like a specific group of people. Did he not?
Right.
He referenced people in their early 20s. So I told him I'm in my early 20s and I don't like the song. And there's a lot of people who don't. So
Okay, time out. All right. So, all right, this is one of the funniest things I ever heard, right? Obviously, you and I have played sports and on every different ground, blacktop, gym, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
This was 20, bro. This is the summer 2015. I'm in Ocala. I'm on summer break from teaching school. And me and one of my homeboys drive over to Marion Oaks and we go play basketball. Somebody turned on Drake, and I forget what song it was, but I swear to you, bro, like the intro hit, and some guy was like, "Oh, you already turned up?" Bro, this man turned around and he looks like this and goes, "Hey, turn that Drake off. Ain't nobody trying to cry on this court." I was like, no way. They just said that. Sure enough, that man turned that. He just changed the song. And I looked at my buddy and I said, "Buddy, I'm dead." Like we started laughing. I've never forgotten that. Ain't nobody trying to cry out here.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what his music is. It's like that's all I really wanted to point out to him. Because a lot of people in their early 20s at that time, they didn't really care to bump Drake in their car. Especially if you're a dude.
Right, right. He had a number of good hits that were like, all right, this is solid. But then it's like, after a while, you're kind of like, okay, like even to like today, I feel like current Drake music is just all right, cut, rip it, repeat. Like his early stuff, diverse, had different sounds to it a lot, but now it's just like, all right, I want to make a chill beat, which is still a chill beat, throw some words to it, and then all right, slap a platinum on it, and we're good to go.
Right. But I say that to say this though. The fact that he replied back to me because I said that, just imagine I would have said that, yo, like I'm a big fan of yours. He would have ignored me.
Right.
So he picked the comment that he thought was negative or
correct
he didn't like to reply back to me. I just believe, like, I'm not sure. Do you think that most of these people in media, because we're gonna get the sports media, because there's a lot of them in sports media that I'm sorry, they're sensitive. They're sensitive as shit. Excuse my language.
Sensitive, bro.
They're sensitive. They're sensitive people. It's like you can't criticize them.
No, you can't. Otherwise, it's like you're just like it's major hypocrisy. You can criticize this person, but you can't criticize me. I'm above that.
In fact, like what do you think about sports media today and the people that's working in there? Like, what do you think about them handling like doing the stuff that they do on sports on social media or on the radio? Because we talked before, became one. We talk about how people look down on the people that listen to them. What do you think about that?
Obviously, it's very petty, right? I've always been that person where, right, I know what I can do. I know the skills I have are top notch. But at the same time, right, you can't be the one to shout that in the room. Otherwise, you look like you're a conceited jerk.
Yes.
But for those guys, right, who are at the top of the game, right, a lot of them came from where I'm coming from. We're trying to rise up. You get your shot. You've earned it. And if you're like a Mike Francesca or somebody who's been in the game for a long time, right, it's just another day doing the same kind of stuff. And so to me, I don't like that, because if you love doing something, right, yeah, it might get old after a while, but you can still tolerate it. A lot of these older guys think that, hey, because I'm now here and I'm the man that's my program you're listening to, that I know you'll tune in every day for, I can act like a jerk. And, with me, with my program, it was always, listen, if you're going to call in, I want to know what's your opinion. As long as you don't sound like a raging idiot or some rambling fool, let's have a real discussion, because this is what this is. Like what sports radio is, what television is. That's what we're doing right now. That's what it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be two buddies sitting at a bar, having a beer, having a conversation, and everybody else around you is the fly on the wall. That's why I have a lot of respect for Colin Cowherd, because he does sound like a guy that you've met at the bar, and he's just giving you all this great information. However, I also feel like, to me, ESPN Colin Cowherd, ride or die. Fox News Colin Cowherd, I feel like he's a complete sellout. I feel like I don't identify with him much anymore. I feel like he just says a lot of things that, again, sound great. He's one of the best in the business at making analogies, but I don't connect with him, because I feel like he's just changed his tone to be more corporate. So to me, again, right, everybody has their own way of feeling things out, and some get fat cat happy, and some never forget where they came from and what this is still supposed to be all about.
Right. Because what I noticed about some of these guys, including Cowherd himself, like he's my favorite radio guy. But there's some stuff that he be saying that I'll be like, do you not really listen to yourself? Like, for example, a lot of people are tired of talking about people talking about LeBron James in media.
Right.
Like, what he'll do is he'll bring the ratings during those segments. But what he really hasn't really thought about was, are they really listen to you talk about LeBron James, or are they waiting for you to say something, or are they waiting for him to say his opinion about LeBron James?
Bingo.
Or there's one more layer. Or they just want to leave the TV on because they just want this segment to just go so they can continue on the rest of the show. Because that's only one segment. They could have walked out the room with the TV on.
Right.
So it's like you can factor in the people that had the TV on during that segment. That's your regular viewer. Or the TV can be on at a bar or a doctor's office or whatever, so you got that rating. And you also got the people that wants to tune in just to hear him speak about LeBron James, not necessarily be like, oh, I'm tired of listening to him. They want to find out what he's going to say next to defend him. That's what it is. That's what a lot like these guys in media. They're tired of listening to them breathe on LeBron, but they have no choice because they just want to listen. They're listening to them. They're just not going to cut the TV off because you're talking about them.
Right.
That's not how it works. They're going to wait until this blows over, like the segment. They'll probably walk out of the room, go to the bathroom or whatever, or go to the kitchen, or go downstairs to the store, buy beer, and then come back up. I mean, I don't think anybody's buying a beer at 12 p.m. or 9 a.m. on the West, but you know what I'm saying.
I feel you, right. So how I evaluate different sports radio show hosts, again, right, is by the conversation, correct? Because as I told you off the air, when I was in Sebring, my program director then, and still the current program director, is a guy named Jay Clark. And Jay Clark was the program director for WABC in New York. And also he helped start Sirius Satellite Radio. Like he legit was the guy they hired. And so he personally knows Howard Stern, Bubba the Love Sponge, a lot of guys, right? Cousin Brucey, all these different radio personalities. He knows them personally. And his best advice to me was, he goes, all right, son, this is different than television. Television, it's about putting on more of a show and this and that, right? And being up and all that. He's like, radio is just you. He's like, radio is the conversation between you and a friend. He's like, or guess what? You might be driving home from work. Hey, man, let's have a conversation because you're tired of the BS you dealt with at work. So let's have a conversation. You might be working on your car, the background noise, whatever it is. Either way, because it's a conversation. Yes. And that's why when I listen to Max Kellerman or listen to Stephen A. Smith or those other guys, I instantly turn them off. Because, right, again, Colin Cowherd is literally giving his conversational opinion to you. Stephen A. Smith is yelling at you all the time. No one likes him. Well, again, not that I know of because he's so loud and crazy. Max Kellerman, same exact person. To me, okay, now let's talk about this, Will.
Okay.
Because this is a guy that is a brilliant, genius mind. But as smart as he is, the problem is he talks as if he is the smartest guy in the room. I don't think intentionally, but because he goes so deep. Bomani Jones. How do you feel about Bomani Jones?
I actually like him, but I can't really say I don't really find him annoying like that because maybe I haven't listened to much of him. But from what I've seen, he's a good talent. But what does he do? Does he filibuster?
No, okay. He talks with a point, right? He talks to make a point. The problem is when he talks a lot, right? Bomani Jones is a great mind. He's a genius. He can talk about any sport. Problem is, right? All right. Most of his conversation, though, generally does center at some point, right, about race or race relations, right, or something. And of course, a lot of people in America are worn out on that of all sides. But with me, when I listen to Bomani, it's not that I get bored of his conversation. It's that I feel like a lot of people, the average listener, right, the average person listening, he is talking so far above their head because he's so smart. He knows the roots of a lot of things. He understands the detail that makes up X connects to Y connects to Z. And because of that, I think that's why he loses people so quickly because he goes so deep. And they're like, listen, if we're going below the surface, you lost me with the iceberg. Like, that's just my opinion. I just think that he's so smart. He's too smart.
Now, in regards to that, now that you gave me an overview of how he talks, yeah, people like that lose me because I feel like they're not really telling me what they're trying to tell me. I feel like they're just trying to make themselves sound really smart. So I just be looking at them like, what's your point of what you're trying to say? Are you just using these words or whatever, or deliver it this way to try to draw me in, or?
Right, because again, I feel like they lose people. Like that's why High Noon between Bomani Jones and Pablo Torres, great show, important show, has real honest discussions. But obviously, it didn't do very well because I think it fatigued the audience from all the race relation talk, and now you've got Bomani and Mina Kimes on Fan Fridays with their own stuff. Again, all three of those people are extremely intelligent. They're very well educated, and they know obviously a lot from different backgrounds of different race relations, and they all tied in together, which are great conversations. But again, it's ESPN. It's supposed to be mainly about sports, and I'm not saying they shouldn't talk about this stuff because it is important. But we've seen since the Kaepernick thing, ESPN has turned into more of a human conversation with sports in it, and because they focus on the former, not the latter, more. You're seeing a lot of people be like, well, oh, great, another race conversation show. I don't care. Just give me the dun-dun-dun and the highlights. That's what I'm here for.
Yeah, but ESPN should know that, though. That's their core audience. It's like, I don't go to McDonald's and ask for a Whopper. Like, the hell?
Right. But again, it's hard because
I don't go to the
put it this way, right? Put it this way, though, right? But ever since the whole fallout with Jamel Hill, ESPN management, I think, has been getting a lot more pushback from the talent, especially with all the people they employ from all different sports and walks of life saying, hey, listen, we're people, right? We identify with X cause or Y cause or whatever. So for them, it's like, hey, we don't just want to be talking heads up here and saying, hey, look at the NFL. Everything's wonderful. When clearly they have a lot of feelings about what's going on in the world.
Yeah. I'll just say this and I'll just leave it at this. I just feel ESPN when they're covering politics, they only cover one side. They don't cover both sides.
Fair.
Like I told you before we went on the air. ESPN had this social justice thing that they wanted to do at it was prime time. I think they did it back in April, I believe. Sage Steele was supposed to be one of the people that's hosting that show. I think she was supposed to be on the panel. They said that she couldn't do the show is because of her opinions. Her opinions were different from the narrative they're trying to push. I'm sorry, ESPN is trying to push that narrative. I'm gonna say that right now. They didn't want her on the show because of that, and I believe that's wrong. And if y'all don't believe me, y'all can go look it up.
Fact check. Go check it. Check the Google.
Yeah, Google it. It's been printed. I think the Washington Post did an article about it, or the Wall Street Journal. One of them. Like Clay Travis, he mentioned something about that. I'm like, really? So I went and looked. I'm like, really? Y'all didn't want her on this show because she had a different opinion? Hell, they fired somebody from, I forgot what organization. I don't know if it was the tech, like, I forgot exactly what team this person was working for. It was a broadcaster. They fired this dude for supporting Trump.
No.
Yes, they fired him for that. Now, whether you care for Trump or not, or you care for Biden or not, I don't give a damn.
Right. That should not affect your job status.
But to say that that's right for him getting, like, because he supports Trump, he should be fired, that's stupid.
Right.
And nobody's going to convince me otherwise.
Well, I'm telling you, it's like I said, as we talked about off the air, what is going on right now in our country is right. Okay, put this way, right? My dad's 65 years old. Okay. My dad grew up in Ocala, Florida from 1966 onward, right? When he was around when they started integrating schools, okay, in the South, in Florida. Okay. Right. He will tell you, growing up in Ocala when it was just a 2-lane road, orange groves, all that crap, whatever. He said, remember, he goes, I went to school, we were integrating. He goes, and we were surrounded by rednecks with nothing but guns in the back of their trucks, rifles and all that stuff, hunting knives, whatever. He said, and not once ever did you ever hear about anybody going to their truck and getting these guns and killing people or stabbing them or whatever. Right? Yeah. You know, even then when it was still a very awful, horrible, volatile time of trying to get equality and stuff. Yeah. No one ever did that kind of thing, right? And there was still a way that we were able to find compromise and peace. Right. And as you just said, nowadays, man, unfortunately, people are so far divided. There's such a chasm and a canyon between us. No one realizes that, you know what? Hey, you got the red paint and you got the blue paint. And if we put them together, man, purple's a great color. Like, nobody realizes the compromise that can be made and the progress that can be made from combining the two colors.
You're right. Like, I just feel that nobody wants to listen to the other side. Everybody just, no matter what side you're on, nobody wants to go in the middle. It's either you're on that side or screw you. Like when Breeze had his opinion about the flag and what it meant to him.
Bro.
They dragged him.
Dragged him by the ankles, bro.
I'm like, so y'all dragging him because he was asked a question and he didn't answer it the way you wanted him to answer it, so you try to ridicule him. Now, is what he says closed-minded? To some degree, sure.
To some degree, yeah.
Yeah, I agree to that. But I'm not going to go around and say F Drew Brees or F whatever or F whoever made the opinion. That's stupid and it's immature. And you got grown ass men out here doing that. Like Malcolm Jenkins saying sometimes he should just shut the F up. What? Really, Malcolm? You want him to shut the F up? So you're not going to ask that man why you see, people grow up in different backgrounds.
Have different reactions, right?
Yeah, they have different reactions. The flag is one way to one person, and the flag is the other way to the other person. Because Breeze's grandparents, they fought in the war, and they did service. So I get his perspective, but he also has to be open-minded too. But at the same time, you could have just sat there and had a conversation with him without going on Instagram and saying, screw you. Sometimes you got to shut up. No, it doesn't work like that.
Right. So is it sad, right? Is it sad that today's quote unquote self-expression is going on social media, right? Whether it's Otto Porter Jr. for the Nuggets, right, saying, oh, right, calling out teammates and coaches instead of going to his team, or it's anybody, right, or it's right, Allen Robinson for the Chicago Bears.
Okay.
Right, he has deleted the Bears entirely from his social media. He plays for the Bears. He's deleted them entirely from social media, any trace of them. And then today he was asked, "Hey, Allen, what's up with you and the Bears? Like, is everything cool?" And what's his response on a microphone? No, me and the city of Chicago, we're cool, man. I love and embrace everything about the city of Chicago.
But I asked you that though.
Right, and it's like, what happened to either teaching people or learning that, hey, if you have a problem, go talk? Because you and I both know, right? The way people do this now is nothing but a bunch of old school high school BS. Yeah. Where instead of going to the person and asking them, hey, I heard X, Y, and Z. Did you do this? Or if not, like, what happened to having a man-to-man conversation? Why is that such a thing of the past?
I don't get it neither. Like, it's like, for example, another example is like you have to find out on social media about something, like, or you find out the day of, or like with Mike and Mike. I found out why they broke up. I found out they broke up because Greeny, he wanted to be in TV. That's fine. That's fine. You could be in TV. Tell me about it first. Don't go behind my back and try to shout for it. That's it. I'm sorry. Greeny is one of my favorite personalities. That's Snake. He's Snake.
Snake,
that's,
bro.
That's Snake stuff. That's Snake stuff right there.
Right, like you and your boy sit in the room, as he said, right? Y'all been friends for 20 years.
Yeah.
Like, right, if there's a problem, or if like, hey, bro, listen, I feel X, Y, and Z. Yeah. If he did the same thing to you and didn't come to you, you would also feel like somebody had just taken that knife and just put it right through your back.
Yeah, I would feel this. I would feel that way. And if I did it to him, he has the right to feel betrayed.
Right. Because having a partnership of that length and that success, how could you not have the trust to say, hey, man, listen, I like what we're doing right now, but honestly, man, I want to be in TV again. And clearly, they both made a lot of money. They've had a great run together. Everything about that could have been an easy, amicable ending. Instead, it's like, yeah, it's our last day. And, well, hey, when the show's over, good luck and, screw you. Man, that was one of the most depressing endings to a great run I've ever seen.
I'm glad I didn't see it, because I noticed, like, on the final days, in the final weeks leading up to their last day, I noticed they was both awkward with each other.
Chill, bro. Like, there was an ice cold chill blowing in that studio.
Yes, and it's sad. Like you have to do that, man, like that, bro. You have to do that. Like, that's when you realize that working at these TV stations and radio stations, these big media companies, you just have to watch out for people like that. Like, they'll be your friend one day, they'll have a show with you. You see, for example, with Max Kellerman and Marcellus Wiley. Before Max went to First Take, he was working at 710 ESPN LA.
Right.
Max Marcellus. He got an offer to go to First Take.
Okay.
Marcellus Wiley said, you better take it. You better take it. He told him about it first before he just up and left. So it's crazy. It's crazy how, like, you think somebody, I don't even know if they was actual friends.
I mean, they should be, right? Because didn't Max come in and take over for Sports Nation? Right? Wasn't he on Sports Nation for a little bit too with Marcellus?
Yeah. Well, those two are friends, like Marcellus. Max.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah.
I was talking about Greeny and Golick.
Oh, right. I mean,
two actual friends.
Are they friends now? Maybe. Probably not. Right. Yeah. I mean, again, right. I don't know if time has passed enough to heal the wound, but obviously, right. Their kids grew up together, right. And again, like, one of my favorite commercials for Mike and Mike was when it showed them sitting in a diner in a booth, and Greeny's sitting on one side of Golick, and Golick's like, oh man, my shoulder's killing me. And he's like, what's up? He's like, it's like, just old football injury with the Eagles. And then Greeny goes, yeah, last night I burnt my tongue on some lentil soup. And this is like, what makes them different makes them great. And it's true, like, those guys could not be more opposite. Skinny and small versus big football body, different opinions, just They were perfect. And again, for Greeny to go behind Golick's back and not feel comfortable to say, hey, man, I got a great opportunity. Any friend in the world would say, hey, man, I don't begrudge you. Take it and run with it.
Exactly. That's like, support your friends.
Yeah. Why would you not?
Big that only comes once in a lifetime. Take it. If I was hosting a show with somebody right now and they told me that they was doing something like that, you better take it.
Yeah, bro. Got to.
Or if I found out that they had a chance to take it and didn't take it because they wanted to stay, I'll be like,
are you crazy?
I would have told you to go.
Hey, all right. So, Will, all right. That brings. Have you ever seen the movie Good Will Hunting?
Probably once.
Okay, right.
I remember it.
Okay, right. So this is perfect. The perfect analogy, right? So near the end of Good Will Hunting, right? You've got Matt Damon and you got Ben Affleck, right? And Matt Damon being this unbelievable genius who has such a mind, it's ridiculous, right? He's sitting there and they're outside the construction yard, and you've got Ben Affleck who goes,
okay,
what are you doing here? He's like, what'd you show up for? He's like, it's gonna be great, well, he's like, I'll stay here. So we'll stay here. We'll grow old. We'll be working the factory. We'll watch our kids play ball, whatever. Yeah. And Matt Damon and Ben Affleck's character looks at him and goes, if you are still here, he's like, and you think we're going to grow together, he goes, I will beat your ass. He's like, you have what everybody else wishes they had. He goes, and you want to throw it all away because you want to hang out and drink beers at the stockyard and watch our kids play baseball. Right. And it's true because, honestly, Will, I'm one of those guys where, hard work gets you places and fortune favors the bold. If you have the dream and you have the ability, plus you don't mind working hard for it and struggling for it for a little bit, it's like, man, if you're going to waste the gift of everyday life to be like, well, yeah, I thought about it. I mean, I can tell you, Will, somebody who's literally, who's had those conversations with myself about, will my dream ever take off the ground?
Mm-hmm.
I had a lot of nights, man, where I shared a 1-bedroom apartment, sleeping on a love seat, right? That was my bed. My bedroom was the living room. And I can't tell you how many times in Sebring I was like, I know I can do this. I know I can be one of those people I've always wanted to. But is what I'm doing actually worth it? Is someone going to discover me? And is this ever going to pay off?
Yes.
And it can, and it is, and it will. But think of how many people, have a similar, Hollywood or music or whatever it is. And sometimes they put in the work and don't pay out. But at least they can go to bed at night knowing, hey, you know what? A long time ago, I tried to make it. It didn't happen. But at least I tried, and I can go to bed at night sleeping comfortably.
Mm-hmm. I be wondering the same thing about myself because I've been doing media since 2013, but I haven't got to at least you see, at least you got to the level that you're at right now. And we're not that far in age. I'm 32. I turned 33.
I'm 31.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll be 32 in November. There you go.
Yeah. I remember your birthday. I remember birthdays a lot. Yeah. So we're not that far in age, and you're you're working at a local affiliate, for a local ABC affiliate, and not too many people your age can say that. Not too many people can say that at our age, or even younger, because it's hard to even get a gig like that.
Yeah, bro.
Yeah,
it's hard. It legit is hard, man. And as I told you earlier, knowing that I'll have the same experience by 40 that somebody will at 30 puts me very far behind the 8 ball. But again, I'm a big believer that everything happens for a reason. And even though I wish for whatever reason it didn't take me 7.5 years out of college to get a job in television finally, it's like, hey, you know what? I did a lot of things that also gave me a lot of skills that I needed to get to this point. So without that path, I may not have gotten to where I am today.
Right. So, got you. Well, tell me a little bit about your experience working at Highlands ESPN, and then I'm gonna ask you about the day that you destroyed Stephen A. Smith. I'm sorry, you destroyed.
I knew that was
I'm gonna tell you exactly how you did that. I was at work. This is when I was working at Old Navy, miserable as shit. I think I was upset about something. The managers talking garbage, talking.
All this politics, yeah.
So I go wind down and cool off. So I saw that you posted that. So I listened. I ain't gonna lie, I was dying in the break room. I was like, because I don't really know much about college sports, but the way you basically dismantled everything he said, like what was that? Well, before you get to that, like tell me about how you got to Highlands ESPN, because when we met, that's where you was working at the time.
Right. So as I said before, right. So between 2014 and the summer of 2016, that's when I was teaching middle school. And then that last year, man, I was so tired of public school kids and just having no support that I was like, all right, like, I mean, right. Will, no joke, man. One time I got so mad at my class. I said, listen, I said, y'all better enjoy the last 2 months of Mr. Pinson. I said, because Mr. Pinson ain't never teaching again. And they're like, what? And I said, listen, I said, y'all want to be so disrespectful? I said, y'all have literally driven me back into broadcasting. So I'm going for it. And so they're like, yeah, whatever. So I'll never get this, right? So July 1st, okay, July 1st comes around of 2016.
Yeah.
And my dad at the time was still the sports editor for the newspaper back home in Sebring.
Okay.
And in the paper was this big giant ad. I mean, just huge ad. It's sitting there and it says ESPN radio is coming to Highlands Radio. And I was like, huh. So sure enough, right? So again, like I said, I've been blessed, man. My parents have been ardent supporters of me since I was a kid, right? They still help me to this day to be motivated and do things for this job, this career. And so my dad got a meeting with the general manager and they were talking whatever. And he's like, listen, he's like, my son can do this job. He's like, just please give him an interview. He's like, if he's not good enough, he's like, tell me. So, all right. So I called, man, like, dude, it took like 2 weeks. Like I was persistent. And finally, I got a meeting with him. So, right. So at the time, my boss was right about 70 years old. And Will, right? What was supposed to be a half-hour meeting turned into a 90-minute meeting.
Oh, wow.
Right. Now, if you've ever met my boss, he will steal any conversation, he'll dominate it, and he'll tell a million sports stories. Okay. Because my old boss was a big-time national sales rep for CBS Sports.
Okay.
His office, it is decorated. I mean, littered with pictures from playing in golf pro-ams with all kinds of famous golf professionals. But the picture that I value the most, Will, it's got to be from the 80s, right? Probably from the late 80s, early 90s. It is my boss on the left, his wife in the middle, and then on the next side is Brent Musburger.
Oh, wow.
And it's an autographed picture, and it says, to Michael, the guy with the prettiest girl at the party, your friend, Brent Musburger. And bro, and that picture sits literally right inside his door. And so, we would talk and stuff, and I would always leave his office, and I would always say, hey, Chief, I was like, one day. And he goes, yeah, one day that will be you. I mean, bro, legit, like, we talked and stuff, and because I made connections with different broadcasters and this and that, he hired me. So from that time on, I had a lot to learn because, I started out rough in radio. I mean, like, you heard me start out, and so learning how to piece together a radio show with a partner was one thing. But then when it went from Turk and Pin and it became the Chris Pinson Show, that was a whole new world because now I'm thinking, how the hell as a solo host do I fill 2 whole hours of content every single day, 5 days a week? And, that was a very difficult thing because especially working in Sebring, even though I talked about pretty much every sport, golf, tennis, basketball, whatever it was, right? Again, in Sebring, that's a small town, market. Those people don't really care about a lot of other sports. Okay. So the hardest part for me was knowing that, doing what I was doing, growing and getting better as a host, I wasn't seeing any ratings numbers. And, even through the stream, I was like, man, this sucks. I think I'm doing well, but numbers don't reflect that. Okay. And if you ask any radio guy that's been in this business for a long time, right, the number one thing anybody cares about on any job application for that is, all right, hey, what market were you in? How long were you number one? I mean, that's all they care about because that's what drives the business. You got to have sales.
Yep. Yeah, because you have to bring the audience in.
Bingo.
That's all they care about.
Bingo.
That's all they care about is the audience.
Yeah, that's it.
Like what was your numbers that you did do for that show?
I mean, honestly, like probably every day I averaged around 100 people, maybe if that.
Okay. Yeah, because I'm gonna tell you right now, because I before I even did this, like I first started hosting shows on the internet. on like because I was hosting shows on Blog Talk with I was hosting TZ show too.
Oh,
First,
nice.
first it was me and my boy Tony. We did a show together. Then from there, TZ asked me to host More to Life Radio,
Nice.
and I did it for 2 hours. First, it was me and Rob Sims on the sports page.
Rob Sams, the man who
Yeah.
never messaged you back.
Mhm. So yeah, we host the show together, and then it went from me and him hosting to me just hosting. So it was a challenge to try to fill 2 hours of just me speaking because
It
after
is.
a while it feels like you're talking to yourself
Bingo.
because there's nothing in front of you. The only thing you have
Yeah.
in front of you is your mic. And I called into your show one time. I was surprised to not hear a producer screen your calls.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. I was producer. I was call screener. Right. I was everything. I was just like, all right, let's again, right. This is right. Because just like here in Gainesville with the TV station I work at, the small
Mhm.
station, man, you literally pretty much do everything. So it really does give you an appreciation. And hopefully you keep it when you get all the way up the ladder and say, yeah,
Right.
I just sit back and talk. I don't do all the rest of the crap.
Hmm. Yeah, because there's a lot. Like, and then some radio guys, they start off as producers at the station. If it's a big
Bingo.
station, Fox Sports Radio. There's a guy I listen to named Jonas Knox. He does weekend overnights. Um, he said he got into radio first as a producer. He was working the boards, and then they
Yep.
promoted him to being a host. So he's been doing that for like a few years. So for anybody who's listening, that's where you have to start. That's entry level in the media.
Yeah, that's what they tell you. Legit. If you want to be on air somewhere, you go be a producer. You call screen, you learn how to produce because again, right? So a guy that I know that kind of mentored me a little bit. He's in Tampa at an iHeart station,
Mhm.
and I called him once and I said, "Hey, what do I do? How can I get other places?" And he said, "Don't even worry about being on air somewhere else." He said, "If you're going to move to a bigger market, he's like, just realize you're going to be behind the scenes." He said, "But the best thing you can do is that anything and everything they give you," he goes, "you crush it." He goes, "Because the more you crush it," he goes, "the better you're going to be and the bigger responsibilities you get." And now you're the guy produces the morning show over there, but every Saturday and Sunday he has his own show or like he partners up. And so
Yeah.
people in Tampa Bay know who this guy is. They
Mhm.
know who Zach is. And it's like, all you did was what? Show up, do good work, and you did it every single day. Hard work does pay off. It really does.
Yes. And and market does mean everything too.
Mm-hmm.
Because like I believe that if you was to be in a bigger market, people would know who you are. Not that people don't now, but you know what I mean. Like people,
Oh yeah,
like
right.
more, you have a bigger reach than you do now. If you was to work, let's say L.A., New York, or whatever.
Of course, yeah.
Because it's like because I think these program directors or whoever's in charge of like the sales and ratings, I think they need to realize the market that they're in and not be so quick to fire people if they don't meet the audience or numbers that you think they should meet. Like honestly speaking, some of these goals are probably unrealistic anyway, but they don't realize
You're
it
not
anyway.
wrong. You're not wrong, honestly. I mean, like you're on the right path, but at the same time, right? It's right. This is a results driven business, right?
Right.
You have to get the
That's the
advertising.
truth.
Like I even know at our station, again, it's so out of the 200 markets in television, Gainesville is rated market number 156, I believe.
Mhm.
And so again, right? So the good news is it's a small station. I get to do a lot of things that I wouldn't other places. The bad news is also is that, because it's a small station, you don't make a lot of money, so
Yeah.
so again, it's not a place you stay forever. There's only a few people there that have been there for a long time and they get paid very well because they do great work and they've been a veteran there.
Yeah.
Everybody else, if you're out of college or you're like me, basically call me a college kid right now.
Yeah.
And it's like, hey, you come there, you cut your teeth, you learn, you grow, you progress, and then
Mhm.
you start hopping more lily pads. Like, honestly, man, like I don't know if it's attainable, but my hope is that by the time I'm done, if I get a contract from them to be a sports reporter, if I actually get it, if I get that contract by the end of the 2-year deal, I would be right about 35 years old.
Right.
And again, with just a 2-year contract, I don't know if it's possible, but I would love to be able to maybe stay in Florida and transition to, like a Fox Sports regional whether it's covering the Rays or the Heat or whoever it is. I don't care. I wouldn't mind maybe the next step being like a Milwaukee or a Denver or a Memphis. I wouldn't mind that. But my ultimate goal is to be able to go from this job to hopefully an analyst anchor position and then work my way up. But again, it's all about what you got to do to make that move. And one thing that definitely plays into it now, especially in TV, is of course social media. You see all these people on here that we talked about. If you got a lot of Instagram followers, right, that right there brings an audience with you. Whether they care about what you do or they care about your personal life is different. But guess what? You see that blue check mark and you see 5,000, 10,000 people. Hey, that person clearly has a draw. We're going to bring them in because they've got more followers than you, and that plays a big part into it.
It does. You're right. Yeah, but the thing is, I wonder. This is always I'm gonna ask you. I'm gonna tell you what I think. Then I'm gonna ask you.
All right.
I wonder if the following that they got, did they come from somewhere, or did they just follow them because of the market they was in? I wonder. I really wonder that.
All right. I will say this. I know, right? So obviously one of the kings of sports radio is, of course, Jim Rome, right? Jim Rome is the man, right? And one day when I was working in Tampa, right, I was doing the radio show stuff. Every day in the background, we always had CBS radio playing. And so one day Rome was talking about his path, how he was in, I think, like San Bernardino or someplace at first, and how he talked about how he religiously had to always work the weekends. And he hated it, but it was part of his contract. Yeah. And so he just talked about how, hey, listen, man, even a guy like me who started in this business 30 years ago also worked the crappy shifts, also worked when he didn't want to. But if you don't do the dirty work, it doesn't give you an appreciation for where you are now. And even though I know people who have met him and they said, what you think Jim Rome is, he probably is that guy, for good or for bad or for worse. But he's another guy, right? He's another guy like a Stephen A. who started small and worked his way up the business, right? And but even he knows at his level, you're still beholden to ratings. Just because your name says Jim Rome, you can always fall off because at some point people might get tired of you, and that's just the nature of the business. That's people.
Yeah, you'll still have your little followers on Instagram and Twitter, but nobody will watch your show.
Exactly. Yeah. Right. And that's the hardest part about the stuff you're doing that I'm doing. It's like, there's a million plus podcasts out there, right? There's a million plus things that we're doing right now that are going on right now at this exact moment. So again, the question is, how do you take what you're doing, separate it from the pack, and stand out from everybody else? Hashtag goofy movie reference. You know what I'm saying? Like, all right, how do you really stand out from everybody else? And that's the hardest part about doing what we're doing or trying to do, because everybody else is also doing it.
Yes. And they probably sound better. They probably have better setups. But at the end of the day, you can have all the setups you want, but you still have to come and perform.
Right. Content is king.
Yes. I'm not the the best speaking person. I stumble on my words a lot. Part of it is I'm thinking as I'm speaking because I don't want to say something stupid on here. So that's probably why
it's hard not to. It really is.
Yes. It's like I try not to use cuss words when I'm on the air. Sometimes I'll do depending on what I'm speaking about. But I realize that I can't cuss all the time, so I got to cut it off because people's going to take me more serious if I didn't use profanity.
Right.
So that's something that I have to work towards. I'm actually doing a great job now because this is the third show that I've done this week, and I have another one right after this one. So it's getting me used to speaking in front of a crowd, sort of. Because people are you got one person watching, but I'm not really counting on live listens or views because everybody plays stuff back because of the times that we're in.
Of course,
nobody has time to watch a show or listen to a show all the way through. So they can get it somewhere that they can just listen on their own leisure, and I get like the playback numbers. I appreciate that more than anything.
That's it, bro, for real.
Live listens, not so much. Even though once you get bigger, your following goes up anyway.
Right.
And the number of people watching is going to go up. So I guess people who try to do stuff like this is like they think about the numbers that the lack of numbers they're not getting, but they have to remember that you're just starting out.
Right. But again, right, and that's the hardest part, right? Is that
Yes.
right? Because here's the real question. At what point do you reach the breaking point, right? At what point do you reach the tipping point to where you go from I'm doing this, I'm doing this, I'm doing this, I'm getting no traction to you finally start breaking in. And there's no short answer, right? I mean, right, I follow a number of people on Twitter that are, whether it's guys that are big fans of the New York Yankees or whatever, right? And they post their podcast. And a lot of times, it gets like, I'll like it because I'm like, yeah, it's cool. I'll listen to it. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. But they post a podcast that gets like, 1 or 2 likes on Twitter. And I'm thinking, damn, dude, I hope you're getting a lot more numbers, because again, right, it's their passion. They love Yankee baseball. They love delving into the lineups, the players, the season, all the things that make up what a great podcast can be. But again, the question is, what can you do to separate it? Because even all the Bucks people I follow, if one tweets something, Tom Brady said he likes green pickles on game day, everybody retweets it. So it's like, all right, I know Tom Brady likes green pickles on game day, but again, unless you've got an outlet like the Tampa Bay Times or the Athletic or ESPN, it's like, what else can you do that you can provide that somebody else can't? And why is your secret information or secret content, why is that better or equal to theirs? And that's hard being just average guys like us.
Yeah, because we don't have names like these guys do.
Right.
You got like, for example, like people like CC Sabathia and Ryan Rucco can start their own podcast.
Right.
Probably because they already have a name, so it's easy for them to get an audience.
Right. One of my favorite podcasts is Matt Barnes, All the Smoke.
Yeah, that's a good listen. I've listened to the episodes.
Right. It's a great video to watch. It's a good listen. And again, who is it? It's 3 NBA players who that's been around the game. They talk about a lot of different things. They have great guests. Again, it's different because they have the name, they have the content, they have the talent. Us, it's like, hey, I mean, dude, even when I was in Tampa and I was working on that show, like, I would message people. I mean, I would message, I don't know, probably 20, 30 people a day, just of all different walks of life from different outlets across the country. Hey, I'm a producer for the JP show. We want to talk about X, Y, and Z, blah, blah. If I got 3 to respond, that was a great day, because, they're like, who are you? I don't care. Or I don't know who you are. Bye. I mean, again, it's like talking to women. It's a numbers game.
So basically, it was hard for you to book guests on your show at Highlands.
Dude, Highlands like near impossible because nobody heard of me really. As far as like the nice part was being an ESPN affiliate, you actually got the email from the behind the scenes about, hey, do you want to talk to Heather Dinich or do you want to talk to Phil Steele or other people? Right, so you could request times and they could do that. But outside of that, man, like I said, ESPN, no shot. In Tampa, that was hard enough getting anybody to actually talk to us. That was outside of the 727 area code. That really was a difficult thing.
Okay, you talking about the other show that you did after, right?
The JP show. Yeah.
I can only imagine. It's like a lot of these other ESPN affiliates, like ESPN Chicago, but I guess because those are big major markets.
Right, major markets. Yeah, right. And luckily, I was fortunate because my radio partner, he had been in Tampa for 20, 30 years. He had worked at the iHeart station, and so he legit is like best friends with Rondé Barber and like a lot of other pro athletes. So we talked to different guys he would get. But then he's like, hey, listen, I got my guys. We need new guys. So then it was on me to go, try to find. I mean, dude, I can't tell you how many different ways I learned how to research to contact somebody through their email or Twitter or Instagram or Facebook, whatever, man. It's like, I felt like a stalker. But, when you're a producer, your job is to help create content for the show and book guests. And you got to meet that quota.
Yeah. And you're right. It's hard. Like, I was spoken to like, a few athletes on shows that I've hosted. Like, you ever remember Javon Hay? He used to play for the Titans.
I remember Javon Curse.
Javon Curse.
The freak.
No, not him. That definitely not him. I would have remembered that one. I would have definitely remembered that one. He played for the Titans. I had him on More Life Radio.
Yeah.
Back in 2015. It was actually one of my favorite interviews, is because I love football. You know, I watch all 3 games every Sunday. The 1 o'clock window, the 4:25 window.
Yep. And NBC Monday, Sunday Night Football. Yep.
Yep. I watch all 3 on Sunday and watch Monday night, and I watch the Thursday night games. So it was one of my favorite interviews because I really love football. But all we did was just reach out to him via his Twitter. But like, it's crazy because you would think that you work at an ESPN affiliate,
right?
That you would be able to book like guests that like and trying to think of what teams, like any of the Florida teams or whatever. Like,
I'm telling you, bro. You all right? So also, right, if I would hit up like the Rays or Lightning, here's what I found, right? Because Sebring's in the dead middle of the state.
Mm-hmm.
It's like 90 from Orlando. It's 90 from Tampa. It's like 2 hours from Ocala, whatever. Problem was, a lot of times they would say, well, you're just outside our listening or viewing area.
Oh.
Even though we're not, because, everybody in Central Florida was either a Dolphin fan or Buck fan. And I would still be told, well, you're just outside the circle of trust. I'm telling you, man, it's like I said, it gave me an appreciation for, again, maybe one day being somewhere and being able to say, hey, man, all the work you guys do. I'll put it this way. What gave me the greatest appreciation for what people behind the scenes do is in 2012, when I interned at Golf Channel all summer long.
Okay.
I interned on the morning show called Morning Drive.
Mm-hmm.
And so as a behind the scene person, we had to be there at 4 a.m. So I'd wake up at 3, leave at 3:30, get there at 4 a.m. Right. And so the next 3 to 4 hours, we would do all this prep work and get ready.
Yeah.
And I remember talking with a lot of people at Golf Channel, because a lot of them actually were former ESPN people. Yeah. And I saw the people that did the graphics and did the teleprompter and did so many things. And you could tell, man, that between the exhausting hours they put in and the little amount of money they were getting paid, they were battered and beaten and exhausted from all of it.
Wow.
And it was bad, dude. And I thought to myself, all right, this is why I'm doing an internship, because I'm now learning what I do and what I don't want to do on the job. And I always said to myself, if I'm ever on a morning show, it will be because I'm on the air. Because, dude, nothing to me was worse than sitting in the freezing cold control room, either watching people do their jobs in the dark or being in the playback room and sitting in there, another freezing cold room. Put this way, Will, it got so bad at one point where, the show's going on, there's nothing to do. I couldn't stop falling asleep. Like, I was literally trying to watch the show, and it's 6 a.m. It's like it's 8 o'clock in the morning. You've been up for 5 hours, and you're so tired, and it's 65 degrees. And my supervisor would say, "Hey, Chris, go take a lap." And I would walk around the entire facility for 15 minutes, douse myself with water, try to wake up. And I was like, all right, I'll never want to be a morning show person except if I'm on the air, because A, I want to get paid better, and B, I want to enjoy what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, man, it's just brutal.
And also, when you're not doing anything, you get bored. That's why you go to sleep.
Bingo.
So what do they expect you to do? Like, if that's the only thing they have you do, then like, unless they really want to do that, then I could see somebody staying up for that. But if they like to be bored, if you don't, I'm sorry, if you don't like to be bored, you're not going to be doing that. I don't see anybody doing that. I don't see anybody else. I don't see me doing that. You or anybody else that likes to be mobile or just like to be bubbly or whatever. But
no.
Yeah. But as far tell me what went through the process of you trying to go, going in on Stephen A. Smith. Like, what was the thought process going into that?
Simple, man. As somebody who is still a small-time person trying to get to a new level, trying to keep growing and getting better and going where I want to go, right? Nothing is more embarrassing or infuriating than when someone that is getting paid a lot of money to talk to a lot of people that you could do the same thing, and they seemingly don't have the information, or they just ignore it, or of course, right, they don't know what they're talking about. Because at that point, remember Stephen A. Smith had like 3 shows in a row or in the same show, whatever it was, where he
Mhm.
was just screwing up. He was saying the wrong names, giving wrong stats, just sounding like an idiot.
Yeah.
And as somebody, right, who at that point was still having to do all his own research and everything that you have to do as a one-man operation,
Yeah.
to watch somebody who is literally force-fed information, given research, etc.,
Yeah.
it's like I just had it, man. I was so tired of seeing that guy get on my television, scream his head off, annoy the hell out of me, and sound like an idiot. And I was like, all right, you know what? I've had enough. I just simply want to make sure this guy understands how embarrassing it is as a reporter, as a journalist, as a host to
Yeah.
have this guy get paid all that money and sound like he literally walked on the set and said, all right, so what are we talking about? I'm saying, like, that right there, man, there was no bigger way to upset me than insulting my craft like that.
Yeah, because a lot of the guys who, for those of you who don't know, ESPN has researchers.
Researchers. Yeah.
And you know how I know that for sure? Because back in 2011, for some reason, I tried to apply for a job there. I just wanted to see if I just wanted to see if I could, what the requirements were. So I went and I was seeing researcher because that's always open. So I'm like, so I guess these are the people that be researching these stats and info for these that's on the air, because they probably don't have time to do it themselves. Well, they probably do have the time, but they probably in the makeup room or whatever if you're doing a television show.
Right.
So I guess they had those. They're to help, basically.
Correct.
I like. Hopefully they're not peons, but they're to help.
They're the bottom of the rung. I'll put it that way.
Yes, they're the help. So they're the ones that I guess have to research everything as they speak. So I like the ones that credit them, though. I like the ones that gives them credit for finding something on the fly.
Oh yeah, because I mean, you're right. Even though ESPN has access to the Elias Sports Bureau, which has all those numbers and facts and figures that no one has ever calculated, like I'm telling you, man, having that right there again, right? It's like watching any of the football broadcast or any game cast where it's like, well, this is the 6th consecutive game that he scored a touchdown when the game is a 1-score possession.
Right.
It's like, I'm sorry, you're like, is that in your notes? No, it's like on golf. Like, Golf Channel has a guy, right? Golf Channel and CBS have a guy who has like a binder. It's like this big. I mean, it's absolutely monstrous how big this binder is.
Right.
And this guy is the guy that tells them about, the various tournaments they won or whatever. And you're thinking, man, like these guys, like, wow, Jim Nantz is a genius. He knows everything. It's right here. It's right here in your ear.
Yep. The producer be in the ear.
Yep. Like, and it's like, wow.
Yeah. And I can find that to be I can imagine that being very challenging. It's like you're on your headset, you're trying to pay attention to the game. You got the producer telling you there's going to be a graphic right after this play. Read it.
Yeah.
I didn't even know.
While you're talking, which is the hardest part because you can hear your own voice. And then it's like, all right, as I'm talking, as I'm thinking, as I'm acting, how do I listen and still be like, all right, countdown's on. You're like, all right, how do I do this?
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy. Even in radio, they have the producer count you down or write something across the board.
Yep.
Tell you
when signals. Yep.
That right there.
Yep, that's it.
Yeah, it's crazy because I've never really worked in the mainstream media like that, but I researched it. If you want to do something like this is what I suggest. Anybody who's trying to do any sort of work in like media, like me, I'm trying to do social work too. That's what I'm going to school for. And I don't even have my degree, but I'm doing the research and I'm having the conversations about it on my channel. I did it yesterday. Well, no, my bad. It was 2 days ago when I had that conversation about mental health. Well, y'all can go find it on my YouTube channel. It's like you have to do the research in order for you to get an understanding of what your craft is or what you're trying or what field you're trying to get into.
Yeah.
Yep. Because I'm saying, as I sit here with you, you've been in media and you confirmed a lot of the stuff that I said to be true.
Oh yeah.
Stuff that I researched.
Yeah, bro. It's right. What's funny though is that there are so many people that have been in radio or TV for a long time. I can tell you that even when I was working at Golf Channel in 2013, how many people, when I said, yeah, I want to be on air, I want to be this, blah, blah. So many of them between radio and TV have all said, listen, kid, it's a dying business, right? You missed the window of the golden age. It's the dying business. Dude, there are so many people, who never directly told me, because it's you. It's just, kid, this business is shrinking. It's going away. Do something else with your life. And I thought to myself, again, right, at this point, I knew these people were older. They are a lot more jaded. They had been through a lot of different things, mergers, breakups, whatever. I'm thinking, again, man, it's so sad that you don't seem to have some kind of dream, some kind of passion that fuels you every day to say, hey, this is what I want to do, and I'm going to do it. Not, well, oh, yeah, sure, mister, you're right. This does sound like an awful place to work. I'm sorry, what do you do? I cover golf for a living. Boy, how tough that must be.
Yeah, I think they just say that because they're probably tired of their job.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So long, and it's to the point that they're not happy about it no more.
No.
So sometimes you just have to step back and be like, listen, do I really want to do this? Or like, am I happy doing this? Sometimes, well, you really don't have that much time to step back when you're doing it. Like, especially if you're working for like ESPN or CBS or whatever.
Right.
And, you have no time to really sit back and be like, it's either you go to work or you just don't. But if you're on the contract, you have no choice. You have to actually have a contract.
Yep.
So I guess those people who's been doing it for so long, they just feel like it's a dying business to them. So they're trying to the next person, or either that is probably they're trying to run game on you. They want to see. I think they want to see if you listen or follow your dream or follow up with it. If you really want to do it,
you're not wrong.
You wouldn't let two strange people or one strange person be like, listen, kid, don't do this. It'll take you a while. Okay. That drives people.
It does.
People, I'm pretty sure people will probably tell me, you don't have what it takes. Look, you stutter a lot. You're Stuttering Stanley.
Stuttering Stanley.
Stuttering Stanley. Yeah, you don't call me Stuttering Stanley because I got, I had delayed speech when I was a kid. So I think that I still have effects from that. But I try my best to speak as clearly as possible. That's the only thing I could do.
Trust me, bro. Even as somebody like myself who's been doing this for a long time, I know that a lot of times when I get excited and I get in the moment, I will fly off the handle and I will run my sentences together. And people are like, "What'd you just say?" And I'm like, "Damn it, sorry." And again, as somebody who wants to be in this industry, who can do this job very well, when it's not that I flick a switch, but when the camera comes on, dude, I just know how to do what I need to do, right? And be perfect. But at the same time, I don't want to. It's not that I don't want to be that person in real life. It's like, it's right. You don't want to always be so focused in on everything. And so because of that, in everyday conversation, if I'm not kind of mentally aware of, hey, make sure you're talking at a good pace, man, I will get so involved in a conversation and I will just fly. And for a lot of times, even today, sometimes that still sticks out to me as like a self-conscious thing, because for a very long time before I learned how to kind of corral my speed, man, I was very self-conscious about it because people would always say, "Oh, wow, you talk really fast." And I would think, you want to be on air somewhere, you want to be a Jim Nance or whatever, as like a Brett Musburger, and you talk way too fast. And so for a period of time, I did get down on myself about that because I knew I was talking so fast.
Yeah. I talk fast myself. I guess
it's a generational thing though. I've noticed that it's a generational thing.
Yeah. Like I talk fast to the point that people be like, "What did you like you?" They'd be like, "What did you say?"
I'm sorry, what?
Yeah, then I have to repeat it. It is the excitement part because you're excited.
You're in the moment.
You're in the moment, so you're excited.
Yeah.
Like you see them, you talk fast. It's like, huh? Maybe it's because you're nervous, but if you calm down, you can speak as clearly as possible. Like I'm talking regular right now, like we would in an actual conversation.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's all you have to do. But like you also, oh, you told me you got a gig doing professional wrestling. Tell me about that.
Yeah. So I did a story a couple weeks ago on a wrestler I met. He moved
Yeah,
from Hawaii all the way to Ocala, Florida to train right,
I
at a
see
place
that by
called
the way. Yeah.
yeah, I appreciate that. At a place in Ocala that I had no idea existed. It's called the Funking Conservatory Wrestling School,
Ooh,
and it's actually owned and operated by Dory Funk Jr., who's one of the legendary tag team, the Funk Brothers.
okay.
And they've put out 5 Hall of Famers. They've put out Kurt Angle. They put out Matt Hardy. They put out either Edge or Christian, I believe. Like I said, they've got 5 Hall of Famers in the WWE. And so even though Dory is a much older guy, he still has his mental capacities, and
Yeah.
he's still hands on. And so through the guy that I did the story on, again, right, all this training that I've done, I did probably that night that I interviewed him. I interviewed him and of course Dory Funk and a few other wrestlers there, and they
Hmm.
were impressed with my interview skills and my public speaking,
Yeah.
and so they asked me if I would want to do some play-by-play stuff, and I said sure. So tomorrow at about 5:30, actually, I'm going to go over there, and I'm going to get some instruction and some 411 on the technical aspect of it, because it has been a long time since I've watched wrestling. So
Yeah.
kind of like the old days when like I played the wrestling games, I watched it, and I could also
Yeah.
play. Tony Hawk Pro Skater. I could tell you every move in X Games. I can't tell you that now.
Yeah.
But this will be, let's see, this will be the third or fourth stint I've done with a new sport per se.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go there tomorrow night and try my hand at at play-by-play of wrestling. I don't, no promises it's going to be Jerry the King Lawler or JR. But again, whether it's
Look,
playing the sport or being able to talk about it, I absolutely love knowing that I have, again, the best seat in the house, and I get to talk about what I'm watching, and it's
yeah.
competition, and I love doing that.
Look, like Michael Cole, before he became Michael Cole in
Yep.
WWE, he was covering the um the Oklahoma bombing for a local
No
CBS.
way.
Yeah, that's the story. That's what he was doing before he auditioned with WWE back then, WWF in
Wow.
'97. So if somebody listens to you, then you're good. Because people like maybe it won't be where you think you might go
Yeah.
yet. Because remember, Jonathan Coachman, he used to work in WWE. Then he
The coach, bro. Legend.
Yeah. You end up working on ESPN. Same thing with Todd Grisham. He worked at WWE as a backstage interviewer, commentator, ended up working at Sports Center. So I say that to say you never know where that position might take you. You might end up working in professional wrestling full time. And then after that, you probably work at ESPN somewhere. If you still want to work there, because we don't know how things are going to be by the time you get there, whenever
Yeah,
that is.
Right. So
I don't see them like I see them like getting worse the next 5 years. So who knows?
they might. No, right now. So, right. So it's funny you say that because obviously, right outside of a COVID pandemic year, every probably like 3 to 4 months or so, people from AEW or WWE,
Yeah.
they send scouts down, and obviously they send scouts
Yeah.
to their various wrestling schools. And obviously, I'm hoping that, if we can make this happen on a regular basis, if I can do this and get better and learn, I would love for them to come down and see me and hear me, man. Because again, right, right, Will, again, right, I would love to be at Golf Channel one day or NBC Sports or whatever. But man,
Yeah.
honestly, man, my dream is that, by 40, hopefully by 35, I'll be able to finally get paid a decent livable wage to where I can be just comfortable enough and say, hey, yeah, you know what? My dreams come true. I'm now getting paid what I can live off my wage, and I can do it because I'm doing what I want to do. I'm not doing it from a side gig, but so whether it's wrestling or the traditional route, whatever, man, I don't care. Hell, dude, my plan in December. Actually, right, it's probably next February or March. Once all the bugs are out of the PS5, I'll actually invest in the PS5, man, and I'm legitimately going to put together a video game play-by-play tape, because I do it. Dude, I do it all the time with my friends. Like even this day, we go and we play Madden or 2K, and I jump on it, man, and it's just ingrained in me. It's not hard at all for me. I just jump on and hey, let's do it.
Word. But before we go, I got two things to ask you.
Yeah, what's up?
Fan stream sports. How
Yeah,
did what was that like? Because I used to listen to the shows on there too.
fan
And
stream, man.
first of all, how did that happen? And then how was it like working there? Well, like what was the experience like?
It was a great experience. Honestly, it
Yeah.
was it was a lot of fun. It gave me a lot of valuable experience that I needed. How did it happen? So right, it was middle of July, and I was sitting there at Highlands ESPN. You're doing the
Hmm.
country shift on the
Yeah.
midday, and next thing you know, my future boss called me,
Yeah.
and I was like, why is this guy calling me? So I'm like,
Hmm.
hello. And he's like, hey, he's like, hey, I got your name through a friend. I'm going to start a brand new sports radio station in Tampa. And he suggested that I talk to you. I was like, all right, yeah. So he asked me, can I be a one-man band? Can I shoot? Can I write? Can I edit? Can I host? Can I produce? Can I do all these things that he needed? And I was like, yeah, man, I can do it all. And so he's like, all right. So, I sent him some samples and we talked a lot and stuff. And,
Yeah.
and I got the gig. And of course I was elated because that got me out of Sebring and I got to finally cover the Buccaneers.
Yeah.
So, it was fun, but I will say that a lot more needed to be put into it for it to become what we thought it could be, because it
Okay.
went from being what was supposed to be a team concept of people working together to
Okay.
really just being myself and the host JP. And
Wow.
yeah, which was tough because after a while, again, we didn't have enough advertising, so I took a pay cut and I was doing other things and trying to make everything come
Yeah.
together. And he's a great boss. He's an incredible show host. I love him hosting because he is very intelligent. He gives it to you straight, and he does do a great job of keeping you wrapped up in the story. But again, for the most part, you've got to have the funding for it. And
Okay.
so there were things that didn't happen or didn't become what we thought they could. And from there, I was like, well, between taking a pay cut, the football season's over. I was like, that's where I knew it was my window of opportunity to reach out to the Gainesville TV station and say, hey, I want to do this. So let's see if we can make it happen.
Okay. That's awesome. One more question. A few years ago,
Yeah.
you I saw you. I think you had like a meeting with the Orlando Magic to do TV with them or whatever. How did that go? What was that like?
Oh, okay, right. So I was in Orlando, but this is with the Mavs, right? This is with the Mavs radio host.
Right.
Right. It was great, man. He's a very, very nice guy. He went to Florida. He actually graduated in my mom's class, which is kind of funny.
Oh wow.
Chuck Cooperstein is his name. Super
Hmm.
nice guy, great voice. Give you the shirt off his back. He's a great dude. But again, he is like anybody else will tell you. In this industry, it really, as they say, right? You've got to get your reps, right? You've got to
Yeah.
get the experience, which is one thing that I love now about my current job, right?
Yeah.
Being able to finally start doing more stuff, getting on air on a semi-regular basis. But if you ask him, man, if you ask anybody, unless you are born into a legacy or heritage name like a Joe Buck or Iron Eagle or Nance or whatever, you know,
Hmm.
everybody comes from the same place. You
Yeah.
are somebody who's either worked in television or radio, or you work, at some low A, double A baseball
Yeah.
team. Everybody has to start somewhere.
Yeah.
And so to him it was like, listen, hey, he's like, hey, you sound good, you look good. He's like, but clearly he's like, hey, get more reps, get more time. So he told
Okay.
me that if I ever, once I get more reps and I become a little more seasoned, he said, hey, send me a tape or something and I'll pass it around and see what I can do for you.
Hmm.
But I will give you one quick story. So
Okay.
my old boss, the one in Sebring, he used to work at St. Louis's big radio station called KMOX.
Okay.
And when he was working there in his early 20s, this little short guy who's shorter than me walked in the building, sat down, and talked to like their legendary sports director. And it says, hi, so and so. He goes, my name is Bob Costas, and I want to be on air for sports because I know a lot about sports.
Yeah.
Particularly, I know baseball.
Hmm.
Okay, that's what he said. At
Yeah.
22 years old, that's what he said. And so, yeah, do you now? So my boss told me that at that time, the sports director took Costas into a boardroom with, at that time, like 8 sports people. Okay. And we're talking like legit, like real, like veteran sports guys that are known throughout America as like writers and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
They peppered him with questions for the next 90 minutes, and he didn't miss one. I'm talking like, all right, if you know baseball, right? Like they're in St. Louis. All right, give me the starting lineup for the 1937 World Series champion Cardinals.
Holy shit.
Bro, he didn't miss. He didn't miss a question for an hour and a half.
Ooh.
Bob Costas started as the spirit of St. Louis ABA basketball announcer.
Yeah.
And from there, bro, he's become Bob Costas. You know, so
in fact, they showed a clip of the station he worked at.
Mm-hmm.
Channel 9, I believe.
Yeah.
And that was right before he started working at NBC. I think it was around like 84, I believe.
Yeah, bro. Also, right, so there was also a very popular Twitter thread that came out like last year. Yeah. And it was said, all right, you know, sports broadcasters, you know, name your first job and how much you made, whatever. And I know for a fact, like, Chris Fowler didn't comment on there, but I saw a clip of Chris Fowler way back in the day when same thing. He was working at a local affiliate in some BFE place making, you know, between $10,000 and $20,000. And now he's Chris Fowler. And it's like, again, you know, I know it's going to take time. And even though I don't want to be 40 years old, right, which is mind blowing to me, right? 40 years old. And, you know, but
I'm feeling your pain.
You know what I'm saying? Right. But it's like, again, you know, I know that like anything else, it's going to be a hard road. It's not going to be sunshines and rainbows, but you keep paddling long enough, you're going to get through the storm and you're going to be like Columbus, man. You're going to find land. And from there, you know, you can have the world can be your oyster, but you got to go through some tough times first.
Yes, I agree. Like you have to crawl before you walk. You're not going to start off big time. If you do, you're very lucky, or you probably knew somebody. That's usually how it happens.
That's it.
But I would like to thank you for coming on the William Green Experience. It's been a pleasure. Man, because like. You're one of the people that gave me motivation to want to do this in the first place. I have many. You were one of them.
I'm honored, man, for real.
You actually gave me the confidence because you're somebody that actually works in media. May not be big time like people think, but you're doing it.
Yeah, trying to.
That's all I need. But thank you for coming on the show. You come on back on anytime you want.
Trust me, bro. It's been an honor, and it would be a pleasure to come on again. Because I mean, we just blew through 2 hours, and I don't feel like it's been an hour.
Same.
Like literally, it's been 1 hour and 57 minutes, and we just talked about everything, and it doesn't feel like time even really laps by.
Got you. But I'd like to thank you again for coming on. For those of you who, for the programming note, I will have my boy Fritzo on at 9 p.m. I'm going to get off so I can drink some water and go to the bathroom, whatever have you. I'll talk to y'all at 9. It's William Green Experience on Speaker Radio and on YouTube.